don't know.
I'm all for it right now because
No.
I'd rather that than scoop snow anyway.
Yeah, I'm totally over the scooping of the snow. Remember when we had that snow a couple years ago? Like right before Easter?
Yep, and it was like a
And
foot.
it was a lot. It was a lot. So I'm a little concerned about that.
We're
It's not-
live.
I know, but it's not showing up again. Oh, nope, there it is,
I got
on the
it.
correct.
We're here.
Up on me.
You got it on
Yep,
you.
it
you
popped
got
up on me.
Yay.
So
Woohoo.
we're here, and
We are here.
we hopefully got our stuff squared away this week.
So
Look
far,
how quick
so
and
good.
painless that was.
Right. Right.
We're the only two watching, but
Oh, we got nobody else with us?
not yet.
No. Okay.
But this is the banter time. We're
This
bantering.
is banter time.
Let's
Yeah.
talk more weather.
But I
It's
mean,
supposed to be
I
over
just
70 next
I just
Wednesday.
hate having to mow grass in March, and I even mowed grass into November last
I
year.
was about to say, we put it away in October and we're like, we're done. And then
No.
we had to put we took the gas out of it, put it
Yeah.
away. And we're like, we're going to have to get it out and put gas back
You need to get
in
one of
it."
those Roomba lawnmowers.
It scared me the first time I saw one of them. I didn't know. All of a sudden, there's, and I was like, "Yikes!"
I've not seen that in person.
Yeah, it's crazy.
They've got a little Roomba thing that'll weed your garden.
That'll weed the garden too.
That I could maybe
It does
get a
it based
hold of.
on the height of the new growth, and it'll cut it off. So you let your other plants get to a certain
And then you can put
And it
it
just
in.
You put your
bumps
weeding
around in
Roomba
there,
in
and
there.
it's solar. And
But then why have a garden?
I wouldn't
the
have a garden to
food.
weed. I think the garden
Yeah.
is to get
Usually we-
something to eat out of it.
Yeah. Like that is the battle.
You gotta
of
work
what can
for
I
it.
do to not have to weed as much as humanly possible? I'm
Well,
going to
then,
be getting
that's
some
how.
straw
That's
bales.
when you space your rows far enough apart. You can run the rototiller through it.
Yeah, but the roots grow in under that, No, you can't do that.
So you're gonna dismiss the Roomba weed eater
And
for a tiller?
for a
Yeah.
tiller, a solar
Power.
powered
You're not in
weed-eating
charge
Roomba.
of ecological things.
Yeah, I was going to say, we got to go back to creation care on that one.
Somebody
I don't
needs
think.
to rewatch their own video.
Yes, exactly.
Physician,
okay,
heal
so we got
thyself.
some
Not that I have a rototiller.
We got some people on with us now, yay.
All right.
Hello, people. So do we have any announcements in the 2 minutes before we start chatting about what we're
We
chatting
have
about?
yes. On Sunday, we signed the contract for the new organ, and
We're getting a kidney.
and hopefully by
Oh, I was like, what?
They're not all gold. Sorry.
I'm sorry. You
Yeah.
know what? It's not as funny if you have to explain it.
hopefully by tomorrow we will know a potential ship date too. We're
Okay.
hoping. I mean, I think we were told that we might get that today, but I figure wait tomorrow.
But it takes how long to build?
They didn't
It's-
have Amazon today.
Yeah.
No prime
There was
delivery
no
on
prime
it.
delivery on that.
Wow.
So it's 12 to 18 weeks to build it.
Oh, I thought it was 8 to 12. 12 to 18 now.
Yeah, 12
Wow.
to 18
Okay.
to build it. And then it takes about a week to install.
Okay.
So if
So
anybody,
sometime in the summer then, yeah.
yeah, I mean, we were looking at June at the earliest. And if anybody wants an organ, we got one cheap.
I'm not putting it in the yard sale. I'm just saying. So, sometimes things end up in the youth group yard sale. But
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go with a hard no on that organ.
We can move it to the free corner.
Yeah, move
Free
it to
corner.
the free corner.
Well, that's going to be full of grow boxes, though.
Not the corner. That's also the dogwood tree. That's Diesel's
We can't lose the free
area.
corner.
We can't lose the free corner. That's gonna be up a little further.
Okay.
In the next probably week, we'll see some markers and maybe wood chips. We'll see. Jay and I are still in discussion on what he's willing to mow around and what he's not, and what
Well,
he's not.
if you make the boxes far enough apart, you can get the mower between them.
Well,
Kind of
right,
like a
but
tiller.
Then the grass is going to get thrown into my boxes, which I don't necessarily want. And then he'll have to weed eat around it all. So I was voting for a layer of wood chips, the whole,
Like a path.
like a square, and then put the grow boxes on top of the square.
We could probably get a goat. How about that?
I did see on Facebook somebody was trying to get rid of some goats that they use for clearing land, but I didn't think, I don't know what the town would
Well, if you
appreciate
can't,
that
if
or
you
not.
can't
Because that would fix
corral
your mowing
bees,
problem too.
right? If,
Well, I can do bees. I just have to put a fence up, and I've already been told no fencing by the church
I
a
would
couple
think you.
years ago.
I would
might
think.
have to reapproach the council. Who
I would
knows?
think for the goats, you would have to have a fence too.
We'll
They
just
just
get an
need a
electric
rope.
fence with a collar, you know. Just,
Oh yeah,
just-
the pet friendly.
Yeah.
So I don't
We
know
don't
if
need
that
garbage
works so
pickup
well on
then either.
goats.
I don't know. Probably not.
We don't need garbage pickup either if we got a goat. 'Cause
That's
they'll eat
right.
anything.
Yeah, we're really going.
We'll get some
all-
hogs
eco.
back there.
We're really going creation care.
go whole hog.
No, hogs are not, no. Chickens and goats. Oh, yeah. Well, actually, Keith, I did get a chicken coop for Christmas, so some
I
of
know where
the-
you can get some chickens.
Yeah, we're going to just wait till the town chickens cross the road, and they might not make it back.
We don't know why they do that though.
They're free range. They're literally free ranging the corner. Sometimes some bugs are better than others. Anyway, any other announcements other than the organ announcement?
Council is having a retreat this weekend to kind of talk about some leadership stuff and figure out, how to be the leaders in the church and kind of it's a get to know kind of thing so that they can learn about each other to foster a greater working relationship down the line. So that's this Saturday at Marlow Ridge. And I know.
Very thankful to be able to get together and do that.
Yes.
I'm
and-
zooming in, but
Well, you have other issues.
I do always.
And there will be an announcement coming out. There's a work day, I want to say
At Marley
April
Ridge?
10th at
Yeah.
Marlow Ridge. So if you're interested in helping out up there, that place is great and it's awesome. I took my wife up there a couple of months ago for the first time, and it's just a great place to go. It's got hiking trails, it's got great vistas of the Piedmont and whatnot. So
Yeah, I linked Marley Ridge on our Facebook page last Friday, I think,
Did you?
maybe. So if you want to flip back through there later on and check out their website or their Facebook, they've got a lot of things available, including summer camp, but also some rentals for family camping.
Yep,
And again,
yep.
they open their hiking trails, or events if you need events.
Yep,
Yeah.
the weather's
Someplace
going
to
to
hold
start
an
turning
event.
here real soon.
yeah,
Yep.
it's always a cool hike to Shock Rock. If you don't know what that is,
We won't spoil the surprise.
yeah, right. It's pretty cool when you take one of
Shocking.
those big light bulbs up there. Have you ever done it?
No.
Because it's under the power lines. So if you take one of those big it'll light it up.
Well, if anybody needs a fluorescent tube, I have about 300 in the basement from when we went to LEDs. So, maybe I can
Way to
make a
pawn
deal
those
with
off,
Marley
too.
Ridge.
Yeah. They probably also went to LEDs. Who uses fluorescent tubes anymore?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I think I do in my house, but
I do in my office, but not.
so we have that, and then obviously, Holy Week is coming up. Holy Week will be March 31st, April 1st, April 2nd, and then April 4th is Easter. So we'll have worship the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, all three at 7 p.m., and then Easter Sunday, worship at the normal time, 9:30. And I believe we've decided not to do breakfast, right?
Nope, we're not ready for that.
Yeah, just one service. So don't get confused.
Yep.
One service. We'll have
Well,
reminders out there, but
2 services, 1 place. We're virtual and, in person.
still at the same time. Don't confuse people.
Rawr.
Oh, yeah, 9:30.
Yep.
9:30. All right.
All right. I haven't heard the bells toll though.
I
Is it
haven't
noon?
either, but it's 5 after, so maybe we
Oh,
were chatting
Maybe we
and
missed them.
No, I don't think they went off.
oh no,
Uh-oh.
some bell issues. Those
Trish?
of you.
So today we're talking.
Anyway.
We're talking about the social statement from the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America on economic life. The title of it is Sufficient Sustainable Livelihood for All. And as I went through this, I mean, it seemed to me, and I think you guys agreed with me before we got started, was that the main undercurrent of this whole social statement was that we are to be cognizant of what we can do for the needy, the poor, etc., and not take advantage. I think that.
Yeah, I think that sums it up.
Yeah.
All
But we
right,
have
see you
more.
next week.
All right, we're done.
We have more to say. It is only a 20-page document this time, so I did print the whole thing.
I
Yeah.
don't know, I went with the synopsis.
Oh, I
Was there a
did.
synopsis?
I
If
didn't-
you look at the bottom, there's 3 different things. One of them is the synopsis. One of them is detailed, like a study guide that
Yeah.
goes with it. And then there's
Oh,
usually
you
some
learn something new every day.
little links.
Well,
I'm telling you.
scroll to the bottom of the page. That's
Right.
what we
Look a
should
little
do.
further.
Look a little further. Well, anyway, but I mean, it was interesting. Kind of
Yeah.
like the education one, you know.
Yeah.
There are some good things in there.
And I can say, for myself that I've, always striven to do what's right by other people, and it, one of the big things that we've here in the Bible is that you can't serve God and mammon or wealth or money or possessions, both, but there are certainly a lot of things that you could do for God with some of that.
Yeah, it doesn't mean it's not okay to have stuff.
Right.
Right.
It's all perspective.
Yeah. That was my, there's a lot of tension and not like a bad tension, but just kind of like a fine line of, you have to have resources to be able to help, but you need to be able to help if you have resources. It was just a very delicate balance, I would say, between resources and generosity.
And one of the, I think it was page 2, it says, baptized into Christ's life, death, and resurrection, we receive a new identity and freedom rather than being defined and held captive by economic success or failure. And I think that really points to a lot of how that's going to work out. I mean, what really is our focus in life? Our focus in life should be on Christ and on God. Instead of like physical things, Christ is our temple.
Oh, that must be a teaser for Sunday. I was like, okay.
You'll see that again.
Yeah, replay.
And that's really where we need to focus ourselves. We need to focus on you think about what Christ did that we've learned over years in the scriptures was Christ didn't really hang out with the hoi polloi or the rich folks, the
Pulling some
like
old
that?
school terms out.
Yeah.
He was hanging out with the sinners, with the tax collectors, with the people who couldn't afford to do stuff, that were hungry, that were hurt or whatever, and that's where he focused his ministry. And I think that's what this really is calling us to do in this social statement is to really pay attention to how we can serve others.
Well, the thing is, you can't focus on that if you're concerned with where am I going to get my next meal? Can I pay my electric bill? If you're worried about that stuff, you can't focus on the things that you should be focusing on. It's just like when you do higher math. You shouldn't have to think about what 2 + 2 equals when you're doing higher math. Those things should be automatic. You don't have to worry about them. So you can focus on the...
Yeah, that's kind of where I was. I felt like when I was reading this, and not to say that we shouldn't focus on Christ, but just, over the years dealing with people who have less, in just a short period of time, just at the soup kitchen or just at the homeless shelter or whatnot, it felt a little hoity-toity of me to be like, you should focus on Christ first.
Well, that's not what I'm
when they're like, I'm starving or I am battling an addiction I can't overcome on my own, or whatever those physical problems are. I don't mean to belittle the spiritual connections that we should have, but I felt it, to me, was like,
And that's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that we have to see Christ in everything that we do. We have to see Christ in those who we are serving.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's you know, for what, I guess, you know, it was, you know, we didn't know when we saw you. We didn't know when we didn't feed you. We didn't know when you were hurting.
we just did it.
We just did it.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, then the others were like, well, you know, blah, blah, blah.
We didn't know it was you, so
Right,
we just...
so we just passed you by.
We would have if we had known.
And that's what I'm saying. I mean, for those of us who are serving the needy, you know, that's our focus. You know, that's how we embrace Christ in our lives. That's how we truly serve, and we do embody Christ. We do see Christ as the temple because we're pushing it out and allowing what we have, what we're sharing, to be absorbed by other people. You know, to meet Christ where he might be.
Right. So you're speaking to people who have resources.
Yes.
Not to
No,
beat
I'm
a
not
dead
saying
horse
pick
there,
yourself
but-
up by the bootstraps. You know, Christ is with you. Don't worry about it. No, I'm saying that
God will provide, not by me though, but somebody will be along shortly in the
Right.
name of the Lord. You know, but
Yeah.
Well, and that's the whole thing with this sufficient sustainability. It's not excess or everybody doesn't. You want to get everybody to a position where they don't have to worry about it.
mm-hmm.
They can, you know, they get enough to eat that day. They might not have leftovers, but they got enough for the day.
Right. I mean, and to me, I get a little aggravated when I see money being poured down a drain for no specific gain other than to bolster one person. You know, we look at, you know, I'm not doing that.
I was about to say, for example, I feel like you're talking about something specific.
I
but
am,
it's,
but I mean, at one point there was a person who spent what, $500 million on political
back- yeah.
ads.
Yeah.
So if I'd have taken, and I think in America there's 323 million people.
yeah. something
So
like
if you
that.
took 1 million and gave it to everybody,
You could have
problems-
bought the votes probably, but
Well,
you know.
right, but you know, that's where I get all.
Misuse of resources.
Yes,
That's
I mean,
aggravating.
wh-
Yeah.
Hey, it's a good thing we don't have a document that
That
says
tells us
something
not to
about
do
that.
And that's exactly right.
Right.
That's exactly what this
Yeah.
document is saying. You know, you use your resources to serve instead of serve yourself.
Or if you have that $500 million and you go open 10 factories that employ 1,000 people apiece or whatever.
Because that's sustainable.
Exactly.
Right.
As opposed to somebody just getting $1 million and spending it however.
But you know what I'm saying.
Right, yeah.
Right.
But
It's the same thing, you know.
it's the same, yeah.
If you just give somebody a meal, they got a meal
I-
for a
if you
day.
te-
But if you give them a job, they can support themselves.
Right. If you give someone a fish, they eat for a day. If you teach someone how to fish, they eat for the rest of their
And
lives.
they always smell like fish.
And you
And
know,
they always smell like fish.
but that's really where you know I think you and I joked the other day about, you know, hitting the lotto, and I had said that I was out in Allegheny County a couple of weeks ago. I mean, just think of what could have been. I mean, it's unfathomable what could be done with that kind
Yeah.
of resources.
Although I was encouraged to see most of the, you know, the reporters when they were asking people what they were going to do with the money if they were to win, and quite a few of them. I mean, of course, there's editing, but quite a few of them said they would
give back.
give back to their communities. And one particular community had, you know, a factory was lost, and so everybody was struggling with joblessness, and so, yeah, let's.
Yeah.
Rising tides. We are full of the cliches
We're
today.
gonna pile them up today.
Pile them on. Well, before we move past page 2, I liked the line at the bottom that said, "In Jesus Christ, God's reign intersects with earthly life, transforming us in how we view the systems of the world." And I liked that because I think, have a skewed view sometimes of the way things are. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. But changing it to God's view of the world and creation is helpful while I'm struggling with some of these things.
Yeah, and cliche number 18 for today. I mean, WWJD. You know, what would Jesus do? And that's exactly what we're called to do in this document. Is how do we embody Jesus in the world? How do we get out there and serve our fellow humankind?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's like a daily decision in all of the things that we're.
It has to be.
You know, not just economic life, but I did find that, you know, some of the things here have to do with education that we've already talked about, and care of creation that we've already talked about, and equality in society, which I thought was interesting that we did not pick this in order at all, but they are all very connected.
Right, yeah.
I love when God works like that.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
But I think that one of the most poignant phrases on that page, though, also was, we're called to love the neighbor and be stewards in economic life, which, distorted by sin, is still God's good creation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, and that's where that piece comes in, where someone spends, you know, god-awful amount of money on advertising as opposed to helping the homelessness, helping the hungry, helping whatever is
Support just, equitable education systems.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. So, I mean, I just, sorry.
Anyway, are we on to our obligation and ongoing tensions?
Well, it also, I mean,
Or not quite yet.
that
Still
one
in
last
confession.
paragraph there, economic life is intended to be a means through which God's purposes for humankind and creation are to be served. And that's kind of like we were saying at the beginning. That's the root of what this is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how do we educate those around us? How do we broaden that spectrum of being able to do that? And, you know, for us, it starts at our church level. And then, you know, hopefully by the good works that we do, not because we have to, but because we want to, it hopefully will blossom out into the community, which is exactly what your praise gardens.
Our praise gardens.
Well, it's your brainchild. But yes, it's what St. Paul's is doing here in the community, because we're going to have the involvement of the youth and the involvement of anybody who wants to play. But once we shine that, I don't want to say shine that light, but once we are doing things that are apparent to the community.
Well, yeah, setting an example of how we're going
Right.
to use, it's just
That's
a big old chunk of grass out there, and I'm going to turn it into something else.
Right. We're going to turn it into something
We are
else.
going to turn it into something else. That's right. We're going to all take the blame on that. It was approved by council, I promise.
Or the praise.
All for the praise of God.
Right.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
right.
So
Anyway,
yes. So yeah.
Shall we break down sufficient, sustainable livelihood for all?
Yes. Why
Hey.
don't you do that?
Oh, I'm going to do that? Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to allow you to.
All right. Well, they
I'm gonna
break it down
share.
into these four, that's the title of this thing, and they break it down into four: the scope of God's creation, or God's concern for all; the means by which life is sustained is livelihood; what is needed, sufficiency; and a long-term perspective of sustainability. Again, that's check. I
Yep.
mean, that's
Pretty straightforward.
Pretty
run it through
straightforward.
that. Is it benefiting all? Is it sustaining life? Is it sufficient? Is it sustainable?
But like you
And
said,
some of those things are in tension with each other.
Right. You know, because what might be good for, I don't know, for lack of a better term, a cattle farmer here might not be good for the vegetable farmer here, or,
yeah.
whatever.
Or the person who lives in the city.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, true.
yeah. What might be an immediate fix for something, an immediate concern right now, is going to cause long-term problems
Right.
later, or it's, an abundance for so.
And further down, Russ, I thought you would appreciate that one sentence that says, through these relationships, we are nurtured, sustained, and held accountable. And I think that kind of ties into what we've adopted as our logo, cultivating and nourishing mind, body, and spirit. I think that fits right in there to what we are.
Weird how that happens.
Weird how that happens. Weird how that happens.
But yeah, and I think, that's, we have, I don't know how many people that are tuned in today.
7. We've got 7
We have
right
7
now.
people tuned in, but that's 7 people that we can use to share what this is about with the rest of the congregation, with the communities in which they live, with the community in which we live as a church family. It's important not to just say, okay, yep, we were gathered at the table today, that was pretty good, and move on. We have to take what we're learning and put it to work.
Put some shoes on it.
Yeah, really? I never heard that one.
I like that one.
Yeah.
But I
Shoes on its
do.
feet.
Shoes on it. Got to put. It's got to. You got to make it work. Got to make it move. Otherwise, it's just sitting here at the table.
Right. Exactly right. So we just have to figure out ways to make that happen. And I know that there's, different things that we, again, it starts with what we might harvest from the praise garden. How is that going to help somebody who may not have fresh vegetables or whatever else it is that's going to be in that garden?
Yeah. It's using our resources to help someone else.
Yeah.
Did you guys have any problems with the ongoing tensions? There was one particular that I have a hard time with. I just wanted to see what you guys thought.
Throw it out there. Let's see.
Yeah.
Well, I have a hard time with autonomy and self-sufficiently are highly valued in our society. As people of faith, we confess that we depend on God and are interdependent on one another. These relationships, through these relationships, we are nurtured, sustained, and held accountable. I have a hard time. I feel like I'm okay with depending on God, but I have a hard time depending and being dependent on, being a part of a system. I'm more of an introverted person, oddly enough.
Yeah.
That or maybe I just have trust issues, but.
But think about what you're trying to do, and think about what we are doing here in church. There can be some form of interdependency on our congregational members, hopefully.
I don't know. I think I might not be the only one that has this problem, because there's a lot of people like, you know what, I'm just going to do it myself, because then I'll know it gets done.
And we've all been there.
We've all been there, and we've all done that. But that's not what we're called to be doing in this statement, that statement right there. And I have a hard time with that. You're like, you know what, I'll just go ahead and do it. But that doesn't create that interdependence on each other or really on God.
So that's kind of one of the lessons I learned during my internship, was because you guys know my nature of my beast, and I'm like,
impatience.
I'm not impatient.
Energizer bunny.
I see something that needs to be done, and I want to get it done.
Yeah, it's like impatience, but different.
Thanks.
Impatience.
Well, I have to agree. I'm in the same boat. But what happens with me is, there's a project I want to get done. Okay, well, you got to wait on this. You got to wait on that. Then it goes.
Right.
It's like 3 years later. Oh yeah. We're gonna still do that? I don't know. We still haven't got the answer.
Well, yeah, and that's the other thing that we really need to do, and that's what I was counseled on a couple times during my internship was
Got a council nation.
The naughty chair.
Yeah, I was
council
in the
notice.
principal's office a couple of times. But that's such and such's job, or that's so and so's job, or that's this, and because you did that kind of upsets the apple cart,
Yeah.
and
Well, it belittles what their contribution. I've been on the receiving end of that too. When you're like, I'm going to do that, and you go in and it's already done, and you're like, why am I here? I'm not going to volunteer for that again.
Right.
But I've also been the person who's like, I need to get this done, and I'm tired of waiting for that person to get, somebody else to get it done. I'm just going to go ahead and do it, and hope it's not taken the wrong way. But it is taken the wrong way.
and that's exactly what we need to try to rely on. And when we all are working and doing everything that we're supposed to me, in a timely fashion, then we can be interdependent on others.
Yeah. I just want to pick up here. Yes, Joanna, there is the document that we're referring to. If you click on the resources tab on our website, it'll take you to the link for all of the ELCA statements. And this one's, I think it's called Economic Life.
It is.
Yes.
And then the title is Sufficient Sustainable Livelihood. You can get the Cliff Notes version.
A little bit further down the page.
A little bit further down the page, we learned. Or you can just type it into Google as well. We'll probably be, it's almost 12:30, so we'll be going through this
For
again.
a couple, at least another week.
At least another week.
Yep. And I don't see a problem with us doing that. I think, the better we have the conversation as opposed to just blowing through
Because,
something.
I mean, there are a couple of there are several sections, and they're all like, this is what you should do, this is what we should do as a church, that I've found helpful, because I'm reading the summary and I'm like, this is overwhelming.
Yeah.
The pull between both ways, and then it's like, we just want you to do this, or consider this, and as a congregation in a church, consider these things, which I thought were helpful.
Mm-hmm.
I like to-do lists.
Yeah. I just like to do.
I know.
Quickly.
He does not like lists. I don't like a list. Just let me get it done.
I don't mind having a list, but if I have that list, it's going to get done. So that's... I'm not impatient, just another term.
Maybe working in the praise gardens, he'll learn patience, because you can't make it grow any faster.
Come on, grow!
Grow. There's so many lessons to be
Sometimes you
learned.
need to ride the bicycle and not the bulldozer.
True.
Ching
True.
ching.
Oh, wow. Do I get a little white basket on the front?
Always. You
All
can
right.
get a bell and maybe a baseball card in your spokes.
Nice.
Nice. Anywho, all right. So, I liked the summary at the end of the section that's talking about the tensions. I don't know if you guys had any more things that you're,
Was that where we
That's
give
where
us
that's
this
where my
day-
problem was.
give
with
us this day our daily bread? Or?
that summary of give us this day our daily bread. I liked that.
But that does. It says, rather than being self-sufficient, we need and depend on what God gives or provides through people, practices, and systems. Daily bread is not earned by efforts of individuals alone, but is made possible through a variety of relationships and institutions. Mm-hmm. And I think that's exactly where the church comes in, as being one of those institutions that can provide other things for, look at the lap robes and the prayer shawls and those kind of things mm-hmm. that we can share with a community who may be in need, or it might just brings, a sense of comfort to somebody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially now when we're still not visiting in person, to be able to give something that says we're thinking about you, or
right.
sending a card or giving a phone call or whatever.
Yeah.
We're opening back up a little more than we were almost this time last year when everything.
Well, a year
coming to
ago,
a
last
screeching
year,
halt.
we were, but we didn't stop.
No.
We kept bulldozing through.
We pivoted. Pivot. That was a Friends quote. Okay, never mind. Carry on. So we are at
We are at time. Okay.
30. So I don't know if we want to pick up with the for all. So those
So I think
four
that's where
parts
we
that it's broken down into, the for all, sustainable.
Yeah, so I think that's where we start next week.
We'll pick up with the for all.
And that reminds me. So Holy Week and the week after, we will not gather at the table.
We will not be gathered at the table.
No.
So we have just 3. So we might take the rest of March here then to go
To
through
finish this
economic
up.
life and then pick up something
Yeah.
new. So we don't have a weird
Right.
We'll get into the interesting ones pretty soon.
Soon
here.
enough.
post-Easter.
We're almost out of the softballs.
And if any of you out there have read any of the social statements and want us to take it up sooner than it might be on our schedule, certainly shoot us a note
Yeah,
in
if
the...
there's an interesting one that you want to
or
reference. really, I know I haven't even considered any of these social statements. I didn't even really know,
Right.
honestly, that the church had them. It would have been nice to know that they did, probably, through time. But
Right.
we're going through it now, so better late than never. One more cliche.
Right.
But yeah, so got a couple more weeks going through economic life, and check it out on our website or ELCA's website.
Yeah, if you go elca.org/
Social
statements.
statements. Yep.
Yeah, it'll take you right there.
Yep.
If you have any questions, just give us a call in the office or send us a message. And
Send us a note. Yeah.
Yep.
Send us an email, whatever. Yeah. All righty.
See you next time.
no technical difficulties, maybe.